Have you ever felt utterly alone, even in a crowded place? Echoes in the Aisle explores the isolating pain of grief after loss. Witness Chloe's journey through a simple trip to the supermarket that becomes a powerful moment of discovery. By the end of this story, you'll understand the importance of shared experiences and discover how small acts of connection can pierce through the deepest sorrow. Chloe walked slowly down the brightly lit cereal aisle, the colourful boxes blurring together like a strange, cheerful fog. The supermarket was bustling on this late Saturday morning, filled with families hauling carts and chatting about weekend plans. But Chloe felt like a ghost, invisible and apart from it all. It had been 3 months since Mark's sudden death, and every day since then had been a struggle to survive. Some days she barely made it out of bed. Other days she forced herself into the world, putting on a brave face no one could see through. "You're so strong," her neighbour had said just moments before, smiling kindly but unknowingly deepening the wall Chloe kept growing around herself. Chloe forced her lips into a small smile, nodding even though the words cut through her like a cold blade. She wasn't strong, she was numb. Every compliment about her courage felt like a reminder she had to hide her true pain, that no one really knew what was inside her. She glanced at the lonely cart beside her, half empty, a reminder of meals forgotten and dinners she hadn't cooked. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for a box of cereal, but didn't pick it up. The weight of grief settled heavily in her chest, itself an invisible prison. Hurrying away from the cereal aisle, Chloe moved toward the frozen food section. The cold air hit her face, sharp and real. She stopped, eyes catching a couple together as they debated which frozen pizza to pick. She recognized the brand immediately, the same frozen pizza Mark, and she had loved on nights when neither of them felt like cooking. The scene felt like a punch to her gut, the simple shared joy between them, the comfortable domesticity, all so ordinary yet now painfully out of reach. Chloe's vision blurred, tears pricking at her eyes. She abandoned her shopping cart and turned sharply toward the exit, fear rising in her throat. Her chest tightened with a sudden rush of panic, the air feeling too thin to breathe. Out in the parking lot, she slid into the driver's seat of her car, palms clammy on the steering wheel. Her breath came in shallow bursts. The sorrow inside her seemed to press against her ribs like an iron band. She felt completely alone in the world, swallowed up by a grief too heavy for words. Then her phone buzzed gently on the seat beside her. She picked it up with shaking hands. A message from Sam, Mark's best friend, glowed softly on the screen. "Hey, no need to reply. Just having a rough day, thinking about him. This sucks." For a moment, Chloe stared at the words, simple, honest, and unadorned. There was no advice here, no platitudes about being brave or strong, just an unspoken bond, a quiet acknowledgement of shared pain. The message was a lifeline. It said, "Me too." It said, "I'm here with you, even when it hurts." Chloe exhaled slowly, feeling some of the tightness in her chest loosen, the suffocating silence around her crack, open just enough for a tiny flicker of hope. She typed back, fingers trembling but steady. "It does." It was just 2 words, but to Chloe they were everything. Not a cure, not a fix, but a connection. Proof she was not alone. Grief could feel like isolation, but sometimes even the smallest thread of understanding could begin to weave her back into the fabric of the world. And that was a start. Chloe drove home slowly, the weight in her chest a little lighter. The sky outside was still overcast, but now the grey felt less oppressive. She thought about Sam's message and how it had cut through the suffocating silence she had been living in. It was a small act of bravery, reaching out, admitting vulnerability without asking for anything in return. As she pulled into her driveway, she noticed Mrs. Henderson, her neighbour, tending to her rose bushes. Usually Chloe would have avoided her, not wanting to face another well-meaning but painful platitude. But today, something felt different. A sense of connection, however fragile, had been rekindled. She parked the car and got out, walking toward Mrs. Henderson. "Those roses are beautiful. Mrs. Henderson," Chloe said, her voice a little shaky but sincere. Mrs. Henderson looked up, her eyes crinkling at the corners as she smiled.
Thank you, dear. Mark always loved them too.
Chloe felt a pang of sadness, but it was different this time. Softer, mingled with a sense of warmth. She wasn't alone in her grief. As they talked about Mark and his love for roses, Chloe realised that grief didn't have to be a solitary prison. It could be a shared space, a connection to those who also carried his memory. The cereal aisle still loomed in her mind, but now it didn't feel quite so lonely. Chloe knew there would be more hard days, but she also knew she wasn't walking through them alone.